Hey guys, what's good? Mike here, Laker Talk. Let's talk Lakers basketball. I'm going to get my thoughts on where we stand 11 games into the season. We play Sacramento Kings tomorrow. I'm going to get my thoughts on that. That should be a good game. That's not a lot of people are saying that's an easy win. I think that's a hard win because Sacramento likes to play us tough when we go to Sacramento. And obviously, De'Aaron Fox is going to try to show up and try to ball out against Lonzo, who has a tweaked ankle, so to be determined whether or not he plays tomorrow. We'll talk about that. But coming off the Minnesota win, we're now 5-6. Happy, obviously, we're happy about coming off the win, and kind of like how we played on the offensive end in that game. First game with Tyson Chandler gave us what we needed. Ended up with 9 rebounds. Played nice at the center position, gave JaVale McGee a rest, and we didn't really lose anything on the defensive end and the rebounding aspect. So shout out to Tyson Chandler for that. What I remember about that game, I fell asleep I was watching that game midway through the third quarter on the couch, fell asleep, woke up, we won. I was happy about that, went back and saw the replay. That game was way closer than I had assumed. I think when I fell asleep during that game, we were going back and forth. Derrick Rose looked like he's back, like the old Derrick Rose of 2011. And Minnesota just shot crazy. I don't know if it was our defense or they just like playing us, and they shot the lights out. Part of it is our defense, so we'll talk about that in a second. But the one thing I do remember from that game is LeBron James looked incredible from an energy standpoint. I couldn't stop saying how good he looked. The first game out of all games that he really looked assertive. He looked like he was playing with purpose. I don't know how well I didn't really zone in on him on the defensive end. We all know that he's taking a break on the defensive end, is not exerting too much energy, and banging too much on the defensive end. Obviously, he'll save that for the playoffs, but offensively, he looked incredible, and he looked like the old LeBron James that we all know. He almost ended up with a triple-double. Great game by LeBron James. Everybody else chipped in as well. Kuzma played well, above 20 points. Brandon Ingram put in 20. Josh Hart put in 20. Josh Hart played incredible off the bench. And Lonzo had great energy. Didn't finish with, I think he finished with like 6 points. I didn't really, because I wasn't in the flow of the game as I fell asleep in the third, like midway through the third and fourth. Everyone was saying how everyone's pissed off, or a lot of Laker fans like who follow me on Twitter, and Lonzo fans are pissed off that Luke Walton is doing Lonzo wrong in terms of the minutes and keeping Rondo out there. And I don't know how much that affected like Rondo's lack of defense. I don't know how much that affected the outcome of the game, how close it was. Apparently, Rondo was in there for Tyson Chandler reasons, for giving him like some, kind of talking to him and telling him where to be on the court. Apparently, Tyson Chandler asked for that because he was saying Rondo was doing a good job at that during the game, and obviously it's the first game. Whatever. Lonzo played, I think, 21 minutes the whole game. So everyone's pissed off. Like Lonzo fans are pissed off, rightly so. Want to see him play, 30 plus minutes, and I can't argue too much. Being that we got the win, being that we got the loss, now we can point fingers and talk and say, hey, we should change this and change that. Having said that, Josh Hart obviously played lights out, shot lights out. Everyone's assuming we should put him back at the 2. And we need to figure out if Kuzma or Brandon Ingram should come off the bench. Fact is, Kuzma, and I don't think anybody will debate this, Kuzma is a better fit with LeBron James offensively, because with the ball in LeBron's hands, Kuzma likes to, slash and does do all different things, can score many different ways. He moves without the ball. Brandon Ingram needs the ball in his hands to be an effective Brandon Ingram, right? And that's a problem we're seeing with Brandon Ingram. Having said that, Brandon is still putting in 20, 18, and 20 a game. We can deal with that. The question is, who do you start if we want to bring Josh Hart? We feel Josh Hart should play the 2. Josh Hart can shoot. Josh Hart can rebound. Josh Hart can bang. Yes, he makes defensive lapses, and the tape doesn't lie. There's a lot of things about Josh Hart communicating with his teammates and things like that that he lapses on defense and things like that. Having said that, put him in the starting lineup. I think he's better than what some of the film has shown. He's a better player defensively. Kuzma obviously better with LeBron James on the offensive end, but he lacks defensively. He gives energy on the defensive end, and he's been doing some things here and there, but he still is hurting on the technique aspect. His IQ level defensively, where to be, what to do, how to do this, that, is not there defensively. So knowing that LeBron James is going to be lax defensively, Kuzma's lax defensively, apparently this particular group, minus Josh Hart, just our starting group right now, with all these guys, is like a negative net rating. I don't know what that means, is exactly how true that stat is, and what, you know, that stat means long term. I think that's just for the most, the starting 5 that played the most minutes apparently, or whatever, their net rating is negative, right? It's not good apparently. Whatever, I still don't mind the starting lineup for a few more games to see how that goes, bringing Josh Hart off the bench. But to be honest with you, that wouldn't be my first start. I would actually put Josh Hart at the 2, Lonzo at the 1, and I would start Brandon Ingram, to be honest with you. Brandon Ingram at the 3, and LeBron at the 4. LeBron's really not a 4, but you're playing them at that aspect, right? The 3 and the 4, and JaVale McGee at the 5 to start. Bring Kuzma off the bench. Yes, Kuzma's a better offensive player than Brandon Ingram, but we could utilize that firepower off the bench, so it might benefit the bench. Also, Brandon Ingram is a better defensive player, and you can't just keep saying that. That actually is not something just to kind of like gloss over. Defense is something that we need. He gives wings and other guards problems with his length and shooting over him and so forth. So he's better in that aspect. Also, he's a better ball handler and a better facilitator than Kuzma. If I had to choose one, I would start Brandon Ingram, bring Kuz off the bench, and see how that goes. If we're having troubles 3 games in, just not enough movement, ball movement, not enough offense, whatnot, I would then experiment with maybe, switching the 2. I don't know. I don't think Brandon Ingram's a guy you bring off the bench. He's good enough. It's just that right now he's not going to be above that 20-point scoring type of area with the ball out of his hands. He's just not that player. He doesn't shoot a lot of threes. He needs the ball in his hands to facilitate, to kind of like to drive and things like that, like he was doing last year. He was doing more driving to the basket, more of that. It shows like there's a stat out there that he's doing less, driving to the basket and things like that. That's because obviously LeBron James, and they're trying to figure that out. So to be determined. I think going into tomorrow game against Sacramento Kings, leave Kuzma and Brandon Ingram in there. Bring Josh Hart off the bench. See how that goes. If we're still tripping, and obviously we were one shot away, Derrick Rose, from hitting that 3-pointer, and we could have lost that game. And we'll be talking about 2 losses, giving up a gazillion points to Toronto, obviously, and now Minnesota. Timberwolves shooting lights out. We're still having defensive problems. Hopefully we can shore that up. We'll see how Lonzo is feeling tomorrow. Hopefully he plays against De'Aaron Fox. I want to see that matchup. Not necessarily, picking De'Aaron Fox up full court, but really taking that challenge. And De'Aaron Fox been talking all this trash for the last couple of years. I want to see them going head up. Lonzo going to D him up one-on-one and see how that goes. Anyway, that's my thoughts right now. Looking forward to the game tomorrow. Hit me up in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for commenting, liking, and subscribing. I'll shoot another video after the game. See how we do and get my thoughts on where we stand going forward. All right. Hit me up in the comments below. Thanks for commenting, liking, and subscribing as I mentioned. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at MikeSportsLA. Holla at your boy. Peace.